Ryan, thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks for staying with us through the break. We're talking about Bill 178 here in the state of Kansas. I know we're having financial issues here in the state of Kansas, and everybody's clamoring for money. Everybody needs money, but agriculture is that one sector that continues to roll along in the state of Kansas, and we're really going to hamstring agriculture if we see this bill go through.
Yeah, Brian, it's Senate Bill 178, and it was introduced a little over a week ago. Haven't had any hearings scheduled or no action on the bill just yet, but it's certainly very concerning for Kansas Farm Bureau and our 40,000 members who are landowners all across the state. And as you know, property taxes are inherently a local tax. That's how you fund your county commission, your township, your local school district. So, this is not a solution, quote unquote, to fix the revenue problems that we're having at the state level. And it's very unfortunate that farmers and ranchers who, as you mentioned, through the Great Recession, who have really kind of kept the revenue flow coming in, not only to the local tax entities, but also the state level over the last 5 or 6 years. All of a sudden now they are being placed with undue burdens as this proposed bill, SB 178, actually wants to change from basically a use value. What is the inherent ability for that land to produce and generate revenue versus its fair market value? And that is not how agricultural land should be taxed in the state of Kansas. And there's actually a constitutional amendment to that effect.
Now, is this something that other states surrounding us are using this formulation for property taxes on farmland?
Nationwide, there are 43 states that use the use value system. Some states, they look to Kansas as being the strongest model and have basically Xeroxed the Kansas model for their state. But our neighboring state to the north, Nebraska, they do not use a use value approach. They do base their property taxes on market value, and that's the one state in the region that really does it very different than we do here in Kansas.
We've got about a minute left in this first segment. Estimated revenue from switching from use value to tax value?
We can't really put a number on that. I know Representative Don Heinemann's asked Ledge Research and Department of Revenue for some numbers, and he has some general percent increases. Dry land, this bill would increase dry land property taxes on average statewide 408%, irrigated 593%, and grassland 672%. So we know there will be additional tax burdens if this bill were to go through, but once again, the local revenue to the county commission or the school board is vastly different than whatever revenue would be generated for the state of Kansas.
Perfect. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to finish up with Ryan at the Farm Bureau office in Manhattan. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. GrassandGrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
Thanks for staying with us. We're at the Farm Bureau office in Manhattan. We're joined by Ryan. Thanks for joining us again, Ryan. It's good to see you again. I didn't say that in the first segment.
So great to be here.
It's good to see you again. Someone's watching the show this morning. They're a homeowner living in central Kansas somewhere. They pay property tax, and they're watching this and go, why should farmers not pay the same property tax that I pay to support rural communities, schools, and things like that?
Brian, there's a lot of history and how this evolution occurred, and it goes back, decades and decades. But a wholesale radical change happened in the 1980s, where the state did reclassify property. There were a couple of incumbent governors that lost, a lot of legislators lost, and it was just a very brutal battle. But I think to get to the root of your question is we've got to understand that agricultural lands produce raw commodities. That is different than your residential home or a commercial business. We are not producing any more agricultural lands. In fact, more acres every single year are getting taken, putting into residential development, getting put into shopping malls, and so on and so forth. So we need to make sure that we understand that agricultural lands, the products that produces are taxed all the way through the chain, ultimately when it ends up in the grocery store or on your kitchen table. That is different than the residential. That is true market value. And I think that's one of the frustrating things that we've seen. A lot of folks see agricultural land auctions going for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 an acre, and all of a sudden they say, hey, wait, somebody's paying that, so we need to be able to tax it at its market value. But one of the agreements that was reached in the 80s and 90s is that we stopped taxing intangibles. So intangibles are your 401k or CDs. A lot of folks that live in urban communities or that have a 8 to 5 day job, they have some type of retirement account that is not taxed. Well, for our farmers and ranchers, they don't have a 401k. What they do is they buy agricultural land as their retirement nest egg. So when they do retire, they'll put it on the auction block or transition it into the next generation. Very similar to what folks in the urban communities and that have that 8 to 5 day job. Same thing. They have their 401k. That's a retirement nest egg, or they want to pass that income on to their next heirs.
We've got about a minute left here. Someone's watching the show, want to get involved in SB 178, contact their local senator or House member and voice their concern about it?
Yep, absolutely. Senate Bill 178, not a hearing just yet, but certainly we're watching the progress, and if we can keep it where it's at, just in introduced form and not have hearings and not see any traction, that's really what Kansas Farm Bureau is fighting. We've got 105 county offices all across the state, all of our county coordinators, all of our county presidents, and our county policy chairs. They're very up to speed on this and have a lot of really good local talking points. And one thing, we're probably running out of time today, but within the current formula, a number of our counties have seen very drastic tax increases. And that comes from the 8-year rolling average. So taxes will continue to increase just as we drop off some low commodity prices, add on some significantly higher prices. So the counties and the local school districts, they will, just within the pure context of the formula, they will see a tax increase.
Perfect. Ryan, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for making Kansas Ag Report the #1 ag television program in Kansas.